Right, so this is going to be a little recap video of what Mike and I did this weekend. So we did a 26.2 mile run, a marathon, and then we did 1,000 pull-ups, 2,000 push-ups, 3,000 squats, and then another marathon. We were doing this for Mike's 50th birthday. We first got the idea, we saw someone posted it on the internet like last August, and then we were coming up with something to do, or that Mike wanted to do for his 50th birthday, looking for something that was a really hard challenge to do. So that was eventually what we had settled on. And so, you know, we decided that we needed to have some ideas on some different things and some thresholds of, you know, if we can do a certain amount of pull-ups, push-ups, and squats, then we should be good to go. We both have a pretty strong and significant background in running distance races, from doing multiple 50s, ultra marathons, and regular marathons. So I will say that compared to what I think most people would need or want to do, that our running was definitely less than many people would anticipate. So yeah, I mean, we've done a bunch of, you know, long endurance stuff before. Most recently we did that 50-mile we're at Rucking World Championships with 30-pound packs on. You know, so we have a significant endurance background and good ability to tolerate discomfort. So that's kind of how we found out about it. There is no, there's nothing we got for doing it. There's no patches, there's no medals, there's no recognition. And really, that's not what it was about. That's not what it was for, at least in my opinion. Obviously, Mike has his own opinions and I can't speak for his. It was a matter of seeing, could we do it, and how hard it would be. I mean, that's the big thing about all of this stuff is, you know, can you do it? Can you make it that far? Can you get through it? You know, there's this idea that life is found at the margins of your, you know, outside your comfort zone, at the margins of your experiences. And so seeking out those things in different ways, shapes, and forms are, in my opinion, important to live a fulfilled life. As I said in my first post regarding this, you don't have to understand that fully. And your experiences of those things is different than mine. It has to be, because we've had different life experiences up until you watching this video, if you're watching it. So it's never going to be an apples to apples comparison, and you shouldn't be making an apples to apples comparison because it's just not the way it is. Anyways, we originally were going to do it around Memorial Day, when Murph happens, which, for those of you who don't know, it's a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, mile run, huge CrossFit staple, hero workout. You're supposed to wear a vest doing it prescribed. We did not wear a vest for our activities. So going into this, our biggest thing was, let's finish, right? We wanted to be crazy, but not stupid. Yes, fine line, maybe we've crossed it, whatever. So first marathon, the whole thing was about keeping our heart rates low. I have a real strong tendency to sweat a lot, and I sweat a lot of electrolytes out. Cramping is typically an issue for me on long endurance events if I am not adequately prepared. In terms of preparation stuff, we did do IVs the day before. We had a whole bunch of waters, Gatorades, Red Bulls. I had Diet Pepsis. There was protein shakes, electrolyte drinks, goos, gels, gummy bears, Sour Patch Kids, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, bananas, oranges, potato chips, Doritos, all those things kind of available to eat. And then we were just kind of like, if there's things we want, we'll just like get it door dashed, or we'll have someone bring it to us and just help us out a little bit. We set up pull-up bars so that they were pretty close to our max reach, so we didn't have to jump up, because it's like, maybe we get to a point we got to do singles, and those jumps are going to add up, right? They're going to be super difficult, and we were just trying to make it as simple as possible. You know, we knew bending over was going to be hard. Put chalk buckets on boxes, and then I think it was Thursday before we started, I was like, it'd be pretty cool to watch some movies in the middle, because like listening to music for 7-8 hours is going to be rough anyways. And so we got a TV in there, and we ended up setting that up and watched the 4 movies, Casino Royale, Mad Max Fury Road, Rocky IV, and finished off with 300. And no lie, we finished the last round of our pull-ups, push-ups, and squats, and it was right as the credits for 300 were rolling, so it was like perfect timing. We used my gym as home base, so we ran loops and out and backs using the gym as home base, so that we could go to the bathroom, load up on liquids and stuff, do whatever stretching, did all the pull-ups, push-ups, squats in there, and then did the second marathon from there as well. Just needed to make sure we had access to whatever we needed, you know, while we were doing this. So yeah, I mean, I think that was a lot of the lead up to before. You know, we did a few different workouts, specifically just like running and a lot of pull-ups, push-ups, squats, but not a ton of extra stuff. You know, it wasn't like we were doing specific extra work every week, just doing our normal CrossFit training. So day of, we were going to do it in May. We moved it up to April because of scheduling with other stuff that we wanted to do. So we were worried about, you know, it getting too hot if we went later in the year and did like June, July. We didn't want to deal with more and more heat, so we bumped it up to this past weekend, and also, you know, it was close to Mike's birthday. So when we trained for our 50 miler, we found out, you know, we had kind of like, this is the earliest we could kind of get up kind of time. It was like 3:30ish was like the earliest we could get going. So we decided we'll meet at 4, do what we got to do to get set up, really ready to go, hopefully be rocking by 4:30, which we were. So the weather for the day, high of 55, intermittent rain, and chance of it getting windy later. So first marathon, start at 4:30, goals to keep the heart rate low. We had no concerns on speed, and so we really didn't check. I was never checking our pace, and we just kind of jogged, and, you know, we come back on our loops. We did 4 loops, and, excuse me, still tired. Came back on our loops, hydrate, go to the bathroom, because again, pumping a lot of liquids, and just kind of make it through that. And so it took us just about 5 hours to do that. After we finished, or when we were doing that, you know, I said, as soon as we get back in for this first one, this first marathon, I'm gonna just do a round of Cindy, because we did rounds of Cindy. So Cindy is 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats. And so we said we're gonna do 200 rounds of that 5, 10, 15. We had no idea how long we were gonna be able to keep doing that, if we were gonna have to change it, whatever. But I said, I'm gonna do a round of that, just get going. At the time, it was still raining pretty good during the marathon, and our hands were like soaked, but then also like, it was hard for me to use the key to open the door of the gym, and kind of was getting nervous that maybe it won't happen. But the last like 6 miles of the marathon, it got drier, and so it was easier to do. So finish that, get in. I don't think I changed my clothes fully, but I ended up doing 5, 10, 15, and unexpectedly, something we didn't think about, dude, getting on the ground to do the push-ups was brutal. Getting down and up ended up being like one of the hardest things during, I'd say, at least the first half. And so Dan brought us in smoothies, which is great, and we drink our smoothies there while kind of going through things. And so it was just, we had a bunch of poker chips, 200 poker chips, 200 rounds, stacks of 20, which is the typical inside of Murph, right? You do your mile run, 100, 200, 300. So each stack of 20 was 100, 200, 300. And looking at the stacks, 200, or the 200 stacks, 200 chips stacked up, it was a very just disheartening to look at. It was like, fuck, that's a lot. And, you know, beginning of the thing we had talked about, it's kind of like, hey, we're at the front of the tube of toothpaste, it's coming out. And then, you know, the idea of how do you eat an elephant, just one bite at a time. So it was just like, okay, we're gonna chip away at these rounds. And we knew it was gonna be tough, and we just had to keep doing it. And so the movies were super helpful in kind of allowing us to a little bit dissociate and zone out, but you still had to keep track of your 5, 10, 15 every time. And so we just kind of kept plugging away at that. What was hard was continuing to eat while doing this and hydrate, because that up, down of the pull-ups, the get on the ground, do the push-ups, get up, do the squats, was not awesome on the stomach. And, you know, again, sweating a lot, which I'll talk to you about in a second. It's tough to keep that up. And so I would say we had this idea that maybe we could do a round of Cindy every 2 minutes. And if we did that, it should take us 400 minutes, which is 6 hours and 40 minutes to do everything inside. Obviously, we're probably gonna have to have breaks. We're gonna probably eat a little bit more, go to the bathroom, whatever. So kind of had that idea in our head, and we were doing really good the whole time. We did really good the whole time, but we were really crushing that pace early on, and, you know, we were able to just kind of power through. I would say it was somewhere around the 600 pull-ups. So we were at like 600 pull-ups, 1,200 push-ups, and 1,800 squats. I started getting tricep cramping, both sides, during the push-ups. And so I was like, fuck, I'm getting behind on my electrolytes. I gotta keep that going. So I was making sure, again, just keeping up on the gels. I think I pounded some potato chips, whatever. Had some chicken nuggets. And I would, after we finished like the 20 rounds, a stack of the poker chips, I would do another electrolyte pack, eat something small, salty, beef stick, whatever, and then deal with even more stomach discomfort. And it would be like, I would get cramping towards the end of a 20 round stack. So I'd pound all that stuff, and then my stomach would feel like shit for like 10, 12 rounds, and then I'd feel good for like 3, 4 rounds, and then I'd start cramping again. And so kind of dealt with that on and off for a while. And we had originally decided we were gonna try to keep it to strict pull-ups or really minimize kipping so that we didn't destroy our hands. Like 1,000 pull-ups, that was the big thing. If we ripped, you're fucked. And so till about 8:50, I was doing a pretty good job of staying strict, and I was staying sets of 5 unbroken pull-ups, which I was really surprised with. But then after that, I started being more aggressive with the kipping. Needed to, because my blood blister on my hand, and then also the cramping was starting to happen, biceps, triceps a little bit more. And so I was just trying to like get through that as best as I could. Mike stayed super strong as we were going through that stuff. You know, he'll tell you that getting up and down, I think, was the hardest part. Squatting was obviously difficult after running a marathon and then trying to do 3,000 total squats. So kept plugging away, and me being the asshole that I am, I decided on the very last set of pull-ups, because we had 5, 10, 15 left. So we were at 995 and 1995 and 2995. I said, fuck it, I'm gonna do 1,001 pull-ups. So that way I could say I did over 1,000. And no joke, I did my last one, that 6th rep, and both of my arms, forearms, biceps, triceps, everything just went and like seized up on me. And so I was like, oh, you dumbass, and you know, you're gonna pay for that stupid thing you did. Like that one rep was a dumb thing, right? That's where my head's at. And so, you know, we ate some more. Emily brought us some subs to eat. We had some chicken nuggets and Whoppers as well earlier. We had the smoothies. And so then we're like, all right, I don't know how I'm gonna run right now. It's just gonna be like, let's just get moving. So we had a loop that was 8.3 miles. I'm like, let's walk that. We had talked about this during the inside stuff. Like, let's walk it, let's see how we feel, and then we'll walk the remainder, right? The other 18 miles. So like, all right, cool. So we get outside. We had some leftover hats at the gym, some winter hats, because it was getting cold out now. So when we started, it was 55, it was a little rainy, it wasn't windy. Now it was like 47, 45, and now the winds picked up, and it was like 20-mile-an-hour consistent winds with up to 30-mile-an-hour gusts. So that wasn't super great. So we decided to go on our walk. I threw on a hoodie, pair of like thin long pants. Mike threw on a layer. We put on some winter caps, and we're like, all right, let's grab a little food, grab some drinks, put them in our pockets, and walk and go. And so we did the 8.3 miles, and like a couple of things we were thinking about was like, fuck, man, like, I don't know how we're gonna run. One, if we start running and we stop, we're gonna freeze. Like that sweat stop, like we're in no place to do it. We already know we're kind of effed, you know, physically. And so we're like, we're gonna just have to walk the whole thing and just get it done. And so we kind of decided that during the first 8 miles. And trying to think, we finished the first marathon. That was I don't know what time it was, regardless, when we were on the second marathon. But so we get back from the 8.3 miles, and I'm like, obviously we had some time on this walk. I'm like, I think I got some, you know, QDA gear at the gym we could throw on. I think I got some fleece sweatpants you can wear to Mike. I got some like Carhartt nice like Storm Defender jacket. You know, we can bundle up, we can layer up, we'll figure it out, because we weren't anticipating the weather to change the way it did. And so you know, I had a hoodie on like this, so I put another one on because there was nothing that fit me that was like a jacket. So I had 2 hoodies on, a wool shirt on underneath that, and then my base layer was like a Lululemon t-shirt, like the tech thing. I don't know what it's called. And then I had like tights on, and shorts, and then a pair of joggers with that. And I wore wool socks for the entirety of it. My shoes I wore Rad Runners, no joke, for the first marathon and the second one. I wore 2 different pairs. I've been using them for a while. I really like them. They're super light. They are not super supportive, but they're soft enough that I don't feel blown up using them. So that was really good. And then I wore my TYR training shoes for the inside stuff. So we got all bundled up, ate some more food, grabbed a couple of drinks, grabbed our wallets, because we're like, okay, we finished 8.3, we got to get this 26 done. Do we do one out and back, or do we do a couple of loops? You know, what do we want to do? And so when we did our 50 mile training, we did a lot of runs up and down Main Street through Buffalo. You know, we went, the furthest we ever went was from basically Shays to Transit Road and back, which is about 25 miles. And so we've done, you know, varying runs, so we're pretty familiar with it. We knew it was well lit, relatively straight shot, not a lot of cars to worry about because of the time of day it was. And so we decided, listen, we're just gonna go out and back. So we head out, and the wind is fucking brutal. And so we left the gym. We were, you know, the 8.3 miles in. And so we had to go out until we hit 17.3, and then we would turn around. And so this was probably like the lowest point for us. It was dark. I want to say it was definitely after 8, because I sent some messages later and I'll talk about that. And so getting to like Canisius College is like a little over a 5K away from the gym. So it's like a little over, it's like 3.25 miles. And so we were walking, and you know, it's almost an hour at that point, and you're fucking tired. And Mike's like, how far are we in? And I was like, look at my watch, and it's like, we're at 10.8. And it was just so like demoralizing to hear that. It's windy, it's dark, it's starting to rain again, and that was like low point. And so we're both just cold, quiet, not really talking. And so it's just, you know, keep plugging away, keep plugging away, keep plugging away, keep hydrating, do the best that we can. And so there was a 7-Eleven that we knew we could get to that would be open right by UB. But that's also like another, it was like another 3-4 miles from where we were. So we just kind of was like, all right, we're gonna get to the 7-Eleven. And so on the way there, it starts raining more and more. It's like a drizzle, but it's consistent. And I got 2 cotton hoodies on, and you know, it's not warm out. And so Mike's getting nervous. He's like, if it starts going bad, we gotta turn around, like we gotta do something. And so Emily was getting ready for her trip for work, and I texted her. It's like almost 10 o'clock, and I'm like, I don't know if she's gonna be up, I don't know, whatever. I was like, hey, do you think you could bring me my Gore-Tex shell, and maybe and also bring me some ibuprofen or Advil? And I texted her like 5 times, and I was like, fuck, she's asleep, you know. So I was like, well, it is what it is. We just got to do it. And so like almost an hour later, you know, we're still walking. We've gone past 7-Eleven. We got some drinks, feeling a little bit better. And she stops and brings me, she gets it, the message, and she's awake. And, you know, she sends me, or brings me the shell, ibuprofen. And, you know, we take the ibuprofen. I take one of the hoodies off. I throw the Gore-Tex shell on. And we only had to walk at that point like 1.5 miles more out. And so we take that stuff, and you know, what is that, 20-30 minutes by the time we get to the turnaround. And no lie, turn around, and both of us felt like way fucking better. Obviously we're like tired, and we know we're tired, but like it was just a huge relief and change in feeling, attitude. And it kind of is a downhill walk back, like it's slightly uphill out of the downtown, but our pace was just so much more brisk. We were cooking. Stop at 7-Eleven again on the way back. Pretty sure the lady at the counter thought we were like drug addicts, because you gotta imagine, we're 18-19 hours into this dumbass thing. You know, we're depleted, probably look strung out. I mean, sweaty, but wearing like weird, you know, clothes. It's 11, 12 o'clock at night. What the fuck are we doing, right? So like the first time we came in, we got like a couple of Diet Pepsis, a couple of protein shakes, and maybe a couple of waters. And then we show up like an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, and we get more Diet Pepsis. And she's like, "You having a good night?" And, you know, it was just like, yeah. And I'm not sure what she thought, but I'm sure it wasn't awesome. And so, you know, Emily kind of like saved our lives at that point in time when she brought that stuff. It was like super, super helpful. And so, yeah, we just kind of plugged away, got back, finished. It was like 1:45 in the morning. So it took us 21 hours, 15 minutes, which for the weather that we had to encounter on both marathons, you know, the stops for food and everything and all of that stuff, that was our complete time. No breaks, like no stopping the clock for breaks. And then, you know, it took us like 15, 20 minutes to clean everything up. I think I got home around 2:15, 2:30. Smoked. Totally smoked. But yeah, that was a lot of it. It was a very, very rewarding experience. Who knows who's still listening? Almost 30 minutes in. I have a tattoo on my back. It's a T.S. Eliot quote, that only those who risk going too far can find out how far one can go. And I want to know what I'm capable of. And again, people will be like, well, you can find out a different way and whatever. And that, like, you're right. I can. This is my thing. This is what I do. This is what I like to do. It's type 2 fun. And I want to know what I'm capable of. And I want to see what I can push myself to, because these limits that we set for ourselves are arbitrary. They're set by other people who have decided this is what people can do. And I want to show people, too, they are capable of the same things that I am and more. Because you get told you can't, or no, or you shouldn't, or you'll never. And as much as we know about the human body and the mind and the spirit and all of that stuff, we're dumb. We don't know that much. And so, you know, I might not ever come up and do something completely unique that no one has ever done, or whatever, but I'm going to do stuff that's on that fringe. I'm going to do stuff that many people haven't heard of people doing or whatever, because I want to see it. I want to try it. It sounds cool and exciting to me, and I got that fucking story now. You know, it teaches me every time, like, I got this reservoir that I can pull on to do things when I don't want to. And every time I do something like that, there's more in that reservoir that I can tap into. And I want, again, it comes back to bigger than me, showing other people that they can do those things. Because I don't have this crazy gifted, special athletic background. It's just effort and time. And that's what I try to tell people it is. And so, yeah, like, it was a good learning experience. You know, we learned a lot about ourselves. We saw what we were capable of. No one can take that away from us, ever. According to my watch, so I have a Garmin Fenix 7. They got an 8 now. It's a pretty cool watch. It gives you a lot of good information and feedback. Over 100,000 steps, well over 10,000 calories burned. Interestingly, my watch, which I'm a very heavy sweater and I sweat a lot of electrolytes, I said that earlier. According to my watch and the activities that we did, which you can see on my previous post, I sweat over 422 ounces of sweat, which is 3.3 gallons of sweat, which it's a lot. During the event, I consumed well over 500 ounces of liquid. Doing my math, I don't have all of it like mathed out, but that's where I stopped when I knew I was above that number. So yeah, that's a shit ton of sweating. Think about 3 gallons of milk plus. I sweat that out over 21 hours. So yeah, it was super, super challenging. Hardest thing I've ever done in a 24-hour window. Yeah, some people brought up the death race, and it's like the death race is different. Death race was 56 hours. So it's its own category because of how long it was. This was just pushed into that small window. And so it was, you know, it was just completely different. It's its own unique experience. I would like to never do that again. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers a lot of your questions, concerns about sanity, whatever. Yeah, comment below if you have questions that I didn't answer, whatever. So hopefully someone listened to this and gets something good out of it. Big message, big takeaway. You can do hard shit. You just gotta put in time, effort, and work, and you get there.